Okay, I have a confession to make. When I stand in line at the supermarket checkout, and there's those magazines right next to you here, those tabloids, I often read the headlines. I mean, they're hilarious. It might be National Enquirer, Bigfoot found. Or when Obama was president and people were questioning his citizenship, it might be the National Enquirer had figured it out. Yep, he had alien parentage. But I hope none of us confuse tabloids with real news. But what happens when the lines blur between tabloids and mainstream media? Now, lately we've all heard about the dangers of fake news. But actually, more insidious is misleading headlines. Because you know what? Misleading headlines actually shape our perceptions. That's right. They're controlling our thoughts. I think we are all what I call skimmers. We all have limited time, and many of us have limited attention spans. And so when we're looking at our news feed or the YouTube videos in our feed or even the daily press, we often skim and just read headlines, right? So what's the harm in that? We're just trying to find out what interests us. It's the increasingly rare person that actually reads the entire press every day or views all the videos in their YouTube feeds. We just don't have time for it. So we view what catches our eye. So the mainstream media needs to find out what does catch our eye, and then they put that hook, right, in their headlines. Because headlines can sell newspapers. And it also can determine advertising rates for digital media, because the more clicks you have on a video or an online article, the more you can charge your advertisers. And of course, the longer your retention is on viewing that video or reading that article, the more you can charge your advertisers. So there's a real incentive to get you to read an article or view a video. In 2016, there was a study for the bit.ly links that are sent out by New York Times and Huffington Post and mainstream media like that. And what was found that those links that were sent out in Twitter feeds as news alerts were only viewed 59% of the time. So a little more than half the people actually clicked on the links. And that just goes on to show that there's no way we can read everything we get, nor are we interested in reading everything we get, maybe because of the title. Now let me give you a personal example. I had recently seen the headline, Tesla CEO smokes marijuana during Joe Rogan interview. So I never bothered to actually watch the interview, the video. Just that headline alone really confirmed what I've been kind of hearing in the news, and I think, wow, Elon Musk is losing it, Here's just another proof of it. And I based that whole perception on what the headline said. And later in this video, I'm going to come back and show you I was very, very mistaken. And this was reported by mainstream media, CNN, Money Magazine, you name it. Everybody was reporting this incident. So this illustrates one of the problems. We often read a headline and never delve further to determine if that headline is really accurate and what the article was really saying. And this can be because the articles are really feeding our cognitive biases. It's what we kind of believe anyway. So hey, we read the title, yeah, we don't need to read anything more. We know now. However, it's even more troubling. Headlines actually impact the way we read and remember an article. That's right. They still impact us even if we read the whole article. They shape our perceptions. Research has actually shown that a reader's interpretation of article is shaped more on the headline than what the article says. Wow. Now I'm going to read you a response to the 2014 study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology Applied, and it was the effects of misinformation in headlines, and this was appeared in the New Yorker. Quote, psychologists have long known that first impressions really do matter. What we see, hear, feel, or experience on our first encounter with something colors how we process the rest of it, and articles are no exceptions. And just as people can manage the impression they make through their choice of attire, can interrupt a minute here. When I was in grad school, you had to read Dress for Success, and if you wore a yellow blouse with a navy blue suit, people would like you. So you had to worry about your first impression for your interview. Back to this quote. So too can the crafting of the headlines subtly shift the perception of the text that follows. By drawing attention to certain details or facts, a headline can affect what existing knowledge is activated in your head. By its choice of phrasing, a headline can influence your mindset as you read so that you later recall details that coincide with what you were expecting. I mean, that's really, really heavy. Now, I think of headlines as kind of a, frame for the article. It sets the tone, and even just a slight mislead in the headline can change your perception of actual facts. And case in point, remember what I told you in the beginning there about my perception for Elon Musk? Well, I went back and actually watched the video, and to me, that title was very misleading. Here, let me show you the clip. Unfortunately, I couldn't include the actual clip in this video because it is copyrighted, but this is the link you can go to, and I will try to, up where the little eye is in the corner, also link the video if you want to see it. Now, the actual part they're talking about, this is an over 2-hour interview. The actual part with the marijuana doesn't start till 2 hours, 10 minutes. So if you want to see what I mean, go to that clip. Well, after watching the video, I really have a different impression. I mean, Joe Rogan started out smoking the marijuana-infused tobacco cigarette, and then he kind of taunted Musk, gee, are you brave enough to do this, or are you worried about what the stockholders are going to think? And then Mr. Musk said, is it legal? And yes, it is legal in California. So he finally tried it. And it wasn't like he brought his stash to the interview and was smoking marijuana continually through the interview. So it kind of a whole different impression. And then if you watch the whole interview, it was very, very interesting on his thoughts on AI and other things. And of course, no comment was made on that. Everything was directed instead to smoking marijuana. And it just shows how I was made a fool of. So always delve deeper. Don't take headlines at face value anymore. In an earlier video, I talked about digitizing fear. And there was a CNN headline, Ebola in the air, a nightmare that could happen. And you know what? This headline really, really got me angry. Because that year, the most clicks was on the word Ebola, so definitely something everyone was interested in. And this was definitely a scare tactic, because if you watch the actual news report, all the experts said very, very low chance of ever being airborne. Really, the title could have been Ebola in the air, experts say unlikely. And that would have really described what was being reported. But it wasn't clickbait, was it? So I guess lesson learned, be careful. Headlines can be very misleading, and now they're shaping your perceptions and your thoughts on a subject. So always delve deeper. Try to find out what the truth is. Maybe I could have entitled this, Beware. Media is employing thought control techniques on unsuspecting citizens. Bet that would have gotten me more clicks. Anyway, this is Potpourri saying please subscribe, share the knowledge, and thumbs up if you like this video.